Today, our topic is business meetings. If you have a question during the class, you can write your questions in the comments and I will answer them at the end of the class. I also have some questions for you that I want you to answer in the comments. Ready? Let's get started. Business meetings. Today we're going to talk about some useful vocabulary and expressions that you can use in a business meeting. Maybe in your job you have to use English when you're in a business meeting, so I hope this is useful for you. Let's talk first about some vocabulary. Objectives. What are these? The objectives are the goals that you want to accomplish in a meeting. The agenda is the list of objectives that you're going to cover, that you're going to talk about in a meeting. To be present or absent. If you attend a meeting, if you are there, you're present. If you do not attend a meeting, then you are absent. To commence is another way to say to start a meeting. Let's commence. The minutes are a written record of everything that is said during a meeting. This is important because in future meetings you review the minutes from the last meeting. The speaker is the person who shares information or gives a speech during a meeting. A deadline is the date a project has to be finished. And at the end of the meeting, you wrap up or finish the meeting. During a meeting, you might need to give some constructive criticism. What is this? It's a long word. Constructive criticism is advice that is useful for and intended to help or improve something. It may be positive or negative, but you always offer solutions. So, another way to say, let's get started is, let's get down to business. Okay, what is the order of a business meeting normally? First, you have the welcome. You welcome everyone. Then you take the roll. The roll call is where you find out who is present and who is absent in a meeting. You call their names and find out if they are present or absent. Then you talk about the objectives, the goals for the meeting. Then you might need to vote on something. To vote is to say yes or no, I agree, I disagree to something that has been proposed in a meeting. Then you might give some comments or feedback, and then you have the closing to wrap up when the meeting is finished. Okay, how can you ask for feedback in a meeting? You can say, what do you think? Or what's your opinion? Okay, so if someone asks for your opinion, you can either agree or disagree. So you can say, I agree. You can also say, that's a good point. Or, that's a good idea. Okay, if you disagree, you can say, I disagree, or I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, what are some ways you can give constructive criticism? Remember, this is suggestions for improvement that can be either positive or negative, but giving solutions. So what are some ways that we can give constructive criticism? think we should. How about, I understand what you mean, but, or why don't we do something else instead, okay? These are some ways to give ideas for improvement, constructive criticism. All right? Important, when you are giving constructive criticism, offer solutions. Don't just disagree. Suggest another idea, something to improve what's been suggested. Okay? In English, we call this the sandwich method. When you give constructive criticism, you start with something positive, and then you say what needs to be improvement, and then you end with something positive. Let's look at an example. Okay, you can say, I love the idea. This is positive. Okay, then unfortunately, the boss rejected it. This means that it needs to be improved. But then you end with something positive again. The good news is that we've extended the deadline. Okay? The negative comment is in between two positive comments, like a sandwich. That's why it's called the sandwich method. All right, let's review the vocabulary we learned earlier today. Tell me in the comments the answers to these 3 questions. Who shares information in a meeting? What is this person called? Write the answer in the comments. What kind of criticism can be both positive and negative? And finally, what is the opposite of present in a meeting? If you are not present, you are what? As you are writing your answers, let's continue practicing. I want to know, when was the last time that you attended a meeting? When was the last time you led a meeting? When was the last time you were the speaker? And when was the last time that you gave constructive criticism? How did you do it? Did you use some of the phrases that we've just talked about? Did you use the sandwich method? Or did you do something different? Tell me about